All right, the Zoom room is live, which means so are we. That means I am recording currently my screen and my voice. It means this mic is hot. It's picking up everything you guys are talking about. So just keep that in mind while you guys are listening in to what we've got on the agenda today. So good morning, welcome in once again. We're officially in now. You guys' phones should be zipped up, please, in your bags so that I know they're not away or they're not in your field of view, out of sight, out of mind for the short time being. Let's go through the agenda once more quickly. We're going to start with this new submission method that I want to talk about to make things easier for you to keep organized so you don't have a huge mess of files. It's harder to find different things, and to make grading easier on me so that we can have more updated grades more frequently. Hi, good morning. I will admit I am pretty behind on my grading for this class, and I apologize. That's something I'm trying to work on as a teacher, and I think this solution should help me get you more accurate grades more quickly. So we're going to start right here with this new submission method. The basic breakdown is that each exercise or each thing that we're doing is its own HTML page or pages inside of one single root, and you'll submit that one major root folder with the index page leading to the weekly assignments, which I have attached my example that I'm about to show here in the replies. So you can see what I'm working with here. I'm going to open it up in VS Code. So here's what mine just looks like. Let me close this little thing right here. Here's what mine looks like from a VS Code standpoint. This is the exact same as the root folder in the replies. So if you download that, you'll be able to see all of this as well. But the basic idea that I want you guys to try doing instead of the way we've done it so far, submitting a root folder for every single assignment, is instead to create a sort of home page like this. So this home page, this index page, is going to link to each of the, there's not four, or there, I can't remember exactly how many assignments there are in Unit 5, but this is our main page, our main landing page for all of the stuff that Unit 5 covers. And so instead of submitting a root folder for 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, giving me tons of files, having you manage tons and tons of files, instead, what I'll have you do is throughout the week, we'll be working in one single root that each assignment is going to be a separate HTML page. So you can decorate this index page however you'd like. You can put whatever you want onto this index page because its only purpose is to serve as a map to the other assignments. So let's say that we're working on 5.1 today and tomorrow. 5.1 in your root folder or in your VS Code here, 5.1 would be its own HTML page with some stuff on it. It could be its own style sheet with some stuff on it. And then when we find our way to the root page or the index and go to 5.1, this is going to be what the Canvas assignment is asking for. So like, let's say 5.1's assignment was to make a 2x4 table with a bunch of cells in it. That would be what you would do on this 5.1 HTML right here, and just do what the Canvas is asking. And then it'll all be able to be found from the Unit 5 index page. So if we go back to Unit 5, let's say 5.3 was about learning this tag called iframe, which we'll talk a little bit about in CSS and HTML today. But all that's going to be contained on this 5.3 HTML file. So all of this is contained within one single folder. If I expand this out a little bit, called your period number and the unit that you're working on specifically. So instead of making a new root every single time, you're going to have one massive root that has all of the different assignments as separate HTML pages or separate style sheets, just all contained in a single root with one index page that links them all together. I'll show you how to set that up real quick. So you can decorate this page however you want. You can experiment with some new tags. You can put something cool that you like. You can explain a little bit. I don't really mind. I just like seeing what you guys are able to create, able to come up with. But let me show you how I want you guys to set up your roots in the future. This is kind of what today is about since it's new. Let me close all my windows here. This is a new kind of thing we're trying, so I want to walk you through the exact process of setting it up. It's a little bit different, or it's pretty similar to the root folder setup that we're used to, but also just a teensy bit different. So I'm going to go into my first period web design folder, right? We already have a mess of all these different files, all these different subfolders, stuff like that. I'm going to create a new folder. name it. I'm going to call it my name, period number, and then this unit specifically is unit 5. And then you could put advanced CSS, or you could put whatever you want after that. But unit 5 is the one that aligns with Canvas. And inside of unit 5's root folder, we don't have anything presently. I'm going to make, just like usual, because we're definitely going to have some style sheets, I'm going to make my styles subfolder, just like we usually do. But I'm also going to add an SRC folder for whatever images or whatever kind of videos, what other kind of other scripts, maybe different file types you might be using. I'm going to have an SRC be kind of the main landing page for that. So now I'm going to go into VS Code, just like normal, go into File, and then Open Folder. And I'm going to open up that Unit 5 root. That's my admin folder. Go into First Period Web Design, look for my Unit 5 root folder like this. Click Select Folder, and this is all normal, all good and normal so far. The difference is introduced where instead of creating a whole new root for assignment 5.1, a whole new root for assignment 5.2, instead you'll just create an HTML page inside of this main folder. And then at the end of the week or the end of the unit, submit the whole folder with all of your different assignments inside of it, kind of like a notebook check as compared to submitting a handout every single time. But I want to start first by creating my landing page, creating my main HTML that's going to link to all my other different sections. So I'm going to double click. You can double click in the empty space right here in the big rectangle like this, or you can press the new file button. I'm going to call this something like unit 5 index.html. Nope, that's indie. Index.html. Go and hit enter. I'm going to start this like any normal HTML file, HTML5. But inside of the body here, I'm going to put something like a paragraph or a header or whatever that says this is my index page for unit 5. So a little short sentence describing what the root folder is all about here. So now let's say it's Tuesday. We're working on assignment 5.1. You already have this root folder opened up. So instead of making a whole new root, I'm just going to double click and do the normal Canvas naming scheme. B. Blakeney P1 5.1.html. Instead of creating a whole new root, I'm going to create, excuse me, just a new HTML file. So then, just like normal, this would be, or like you're used to, B. Blakeney P1 5.1. And just so that we can tell what this is going to be a paragraph right here that says this is where assignment 5.1 would be made. So now on my unit 5 index, I need to create a navigation section that's going to link to all of my different HTML pages. For now, because we don't have any, we don't have much assigned in the realm of Unit 5, we're just going to get introduced to it today. There should only really be one page here. This page is going to grow. You're going to continue working in this Unit 5 subfolder so that it keeps everything contained in one spot that's easy to find. So I'm going to go here, just hit the letter A, and then hit Enter. That's going to auto. Oops, it took out my tags and stuff. That's going to auto add the a href and then the end tag to save you some time. You could still do it the old-fashioned way. Let me get rid of this real quick. Shift comma A space href equals arrow key shift period, or you could just type the letter A and hit enter, and it will automatically pop up like this. So since we only have one project or one assignment that we're currently working on for Unit 5, that's the only thing I have to link on my main page. So B. Blakeney P1, hi, good morning. B. Blakeney P1 5.1.html, and then I just have to put a little ASSN 5.1 inside of that link tag like this. So what that would look like, because we've just done a little bit of setup and we only have a little bit of Unit 5 stuff, when I go to run this, all we have on there is an index page for Unit 5. That will take us, when you click on it, to the assignment that's specific to Canvas. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. I'll help you guys because I know this is kind of new. It's different from what we've done so far. Kind of throwing a wrench into the way you guys are used to creating your pages, but I just think this will be easier in the long run for both organization's sake and for grading. So let's say your index page is looking a little bit more like the example. If I go back to my admin here real quick. Let's say that towards the end of the week, towards the end of the unit, you've done all the stuff that I've shown you off in Canvas, or that we've worked through in our class stuff. Your index page is looking pretty full with a couple different assignments filled out. We go to each of these. You've got a couple different stuff or a couple different pages happening here, right? Stuff that we're used to, all able to be turned in one spot. What you'll do then is go to Canvas. I think I published it. I can't remember. If not, I'll publish it real quick. You can see Unit 5 is available right here. Yes. So each unit, there's only 2 units left in the year. Surprise. So what you'll do at the end of the unit, once you've completed all of the assignments, is you'll submit your one root folder right here. If I go here to my unit1.zip or P1 unit5.zip, just submit that. And that's all you need to turn in for the unit, because that root folder contains all of your assignments in one spot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Good deal. All right. You guys get it. Okay. So let's close out of all this. Let's talk about our next thing real quick. I will pull up the PowerPoint. This is our introduction to Unit 5 with a little CSS bits and pieces of some stuff that is going to improve your use of CSS, make your sites more responsive, stuff like that. So the biggest thing from the new units is a new way that you can move around inside of your files. So I have blacked this part out because it doesn't make a ton of sense from what I've compared to what I've taught in the previous years. But once this PowerPoint goes live, you will be able to see what this says. But basically, the gist is it's a new way to use slashes and stuff, whatever. Let's move on to this part right here. So you can also load you can load files into a folder or a directory level lower. So if we look at our root folder here, remember they're kind of like staircases. If this is the top of the staircase, the Unit 5 root folder, each one of these is one layer below the root. So if we go one more layer, anything that's inside of the styles folder is the third step. So it's 3 steps down from the root right here. You can use slashes to find a file that's in a layer below. So like this, for example, this tag, we have an image and then an SRC. Our first subfolder is going to be images. That's kind of like if it were SRC in our root that we just established. And then if we go slash, oh wait, this is the way that we're used to. Sorry, I confused myself. You have your root folder first, and then the file, just like we do with our styles and style sheets, and then with alt text. But you can also, if you want something to look outside of a folder, like I've talked to you, remember your files can only look in the folder that they're contained in. They can look down, but they can't look up out. If you add a ... and then a slash, so this double / allows your folder to look outside of the thing that it is contained in. So that doesn't make a lot of sense while I'm talking about it. So let me show you here. So we have all of these inside of my first period web design root. We have all of these different subfolders. So if I'm working on something in 4.1 and I want to access a file in 4.7.3, the way that you're used to is having to copy whatever's from 4.7.3 into 4.1. Now, by using this double / in your file relative path, that allows your file to look outside of the folder that it's currently contained in for something else. So I'll give you an example of that right here. Let me pull up VS Code. So let's say if I open up my whole root folder, just for an example, you'll be able to see everything here. We'll just select my whole root. Say I'm working on something in 4.1. Say I want an image from 4.7.3. Let me make sure there are. Perfect, there is one. Okay, so I'm writing my image tag, image, IMG, enter, and that gives me the auto SRC and the auto alt. By default, since I'm in 4.1, let me close some of these other things here real quick. Close all my pop-ups. Since I'm in 4.1, I cannot look outside of 4.1. I can only see files that are contained within 4.1. This becomes the upper barrier of my staircase. I cannot go any further. However, since I have access to this entire root with all of my other files, if I go into the SRC and I go ... that gives me access to other folders outside of my root. You can see I can look into other folders, other files inside of my first period web design root. Because I've added that ... I now have the ability to look outside of my main folder. So if I wanted an image from 4.7.3, I can go ... enter. So now we have 4.7.3. Okay, and then I can go into SRC, download.jpg, without having to put download.jpg inside of my 4.1 root. I can use that ... to look out, send my CSS on a longer journey. So this is download.jpg, it's the volcano picture. If I were to run this, that same volcano picture will appear on my 4.1 because ... has allowed it to look outside of its root. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. ... is super useful. It can get pretty confusing pretty fast, especially if you have a large folder like this one with tons of different subfolders and files. But it is a really useful tool if you need to look, especially for a style sheet. If you need to look outside of the styles folder for a background image or for another style sheet or whatever, ... in your relative path allows it to do that. So if you've structured your files properly, you might not use this with HTML, but you might use it with CSS. That way you have the CSS that goes up or backwards, like I've talked about. If you have the staircase imagining, it's going to go up and backwards from your styles folder and looks for an images folder in the image folder, which the next slide on background images will show you. So background images is another piece of the advanced CSS. I know some of y'all have tried this already, but we're getting into it officially now. There is a background image property that you can add to the body tag or the HTML tag, because that's going to affect the whole visual view of the website. And you use the URL and the ... because typically you're not going to be putting images inside of your styles folder. You're going to put images inside of your images folder. So if you're looking for a background image, you do all of this code in CSS. You're going to need that ... to look in the images folder for the specific picture you want to put on your background. So keep in mind, this is relative to the CSS file. So ... makes it go back one step, which means it's going to relate to your root. So if I'm here, ... because my folder open in VS Code is all of first period web design, it has access to all of these files. If I were to just be in like my 4.7 folder, for example, let's open that up real quick. If I try to ... say we're in here, we'll write a background image rule. It goes for the body. So background dash image, and then a colon. If I could spell anything right, maybe it would work. There we go. Okay. Then we need a URL, which I'll get into here in just a second. Okay. ... it only has access to stuff that is inside of my 4.7.3 root folder. So it can't access everything like it did on the first period web design example. It can only access to the top of the folder that you have open. So this will be useful with the new Unit 5 and forward kind of idea, because then you have access to all of your different pictures from all of your different HTML files all in one spot. So with background images, though, this is the property like you're used to with background color, but it's image instead. Instead of putting a color inside of the value section, remember, selector is the thing you're focusing on, property is the thing you're changing, and value is the thing that you're changing it to. You're going to add URL parentheses. URL stands for Universal Resource Locator, because we're locating a resource. There's a lot of setup for this because you need both parentheses and quotes in order for a background image to work. Since we're locked inside of the style subfolder, I need to use ... in order for it to look out for my SRC or my images folder for download.jpg, which is the full setup for the background image. We're going to add a semicolon after the value like normal. And if I were to run this page now, it should have the volcano making a whole mess of the background. I'll show you how to change that here in just a second as well. Background image, you need that URL, you need the parentheses, you need the quotes, and you need the ... in order for it to really work effectively. There's a lot of setup for background image, but once you do it, it makes a lot of sense. So This is going to be relative to the CSS file, and you can also make a background image for an individual element. You can do this for a div, but it works pretty well on any element that has width and height. So typically the block levels are going to have a nice setup on there. So by default, you'll notice that the image repeats both vertically and horizontally to fill the page. We are currently working with, wherever my Chrome window went. Is it gone? Yeah, it's gone. Okay, let's go back here, run this. I think I picked Edge. No, hold on. Oh, I tried to run CSS. Oops, delete my VS Code folder. Okay, go back to page 1. Let's try that again. Okay, so by default, it's going to make the image repeat a whole bunch, and it's not what we're looking for in the sense of a background image. So you can change this setting by adding the background repeat property to either repeat X, repeat I, or Y, excuse me, or no repeat. It's going to repeat. X is going to be on the vertical. Y is going to be, sorry, X is going to be on the horizontal, the left to right, the east to west. Y is going to be on the vertical, the north to south, or no repeat at all, which will just leave the image set one time. So if I go into my CSS here, and I go background dash repeat, set it to no repeat, it will do exactly that. It will stop repeating, and it will only take up the available space here. Or you could set it to repeat Y, repeat X, whatever. I'll just do repeat X for example's sake. Repeat X, refresh. Oh, sorry. It's going to repeat along that X axis, depending on how big my viewport is. So you can see there's a little bit left over here. If I resize, my flex box is going to flex, but my pictures are not. So if we minimize that, by default, the image is going to start at the top left of the page. Remember that point of origin right up here is going to be the top left. And you can change this setting by the background position to offset it just like you would position relative, because it's going to go from the top left corner here. You can also change the size with background dash size. 100 or 300 pixels is going to be the X and Y coordinates. Or you can use background size cover. This is the one I use most frequently, is background size cover, to stretch the image across the element or the page. So if we go into our CSS here and set the background size to cover, sorry, not contain, cover, it's going to take up all of the available space here. It's going to lower the resolution a little bit as you zoom way in, but however big your image is, it's going to take up as much of the viewport as it can. So you can see it's going to adjust here if I adjust the size of my viewport. Okay, so next we're going to talk about float this week. I won't get into examples because I just want us to focus on background images, // and the new root setup. We're going to talk about float later this week, which is a way to arrange your page to be more responsive, kind of like Flex. We're going to talk about how you can change list styles very briefly, because I know some of y'all have already seen that, like the W3 schools and stuff. And you can also do list style images. We'll talk about something called pseudo classes, which is a way to get even more specific with your CSS. And we'll also talk about ways to center and vertically align, because I know that gets kind of frustrating, especially with divs, especially with headings and stuff like that. So we're just going to focus for today and tomorrow on background images and the new file structure, which you have access to in the agenda for the day, wherever it went. Hold on. Go back to announcements. Go back here. Any day now. Okay.
Wait, so do we only have to submit the root folder at the end of the unit?
Yep, you submit the one unit root folder that's going to contain all of your different HTML pages. Okay, so before we get into that setup, before I help y'all, I'm going to wrap up this lecture real quick. We have, that is not your agenda. This is your agenda. We have the gift drive. So we are assigned as a bigger class. There are these two boxes right here. We have a student named Chloe Chinnick and Carson Siegel. Chloe's a pre-K and Carson is a 5th grader. They have a shirt and shoe size. So we need to, if you have any of these lying around, we need a coat, a hat, mittens, and shoes. These 4 for both Chloe and Carson, and then each of them gets a specific gift. So what I want you guys to do, you have some options here. This is optional, but it's worth a Spartan shout out if you guys are able to get a donation in. We need coats, hats, mittens, and shoes. I think you guys all have some extra coats, hats, mittens lying around. You don't have to go out and buy new ones. If you have some that you're not using that you know that these students could take advantage of, go and bring them in. If you would rather have your parents send me a monetary donation and I will go buy it, that's totally fine too. Again, this is not required. This is just something I want you guys to keep in mind. We have until Friday to do this because I procrastinated telling them. Yeah, Tamaya, what's up?
Can we just put money in the box?
You can give money to me and I will go buy the things.
Okay, so no putting money in the box.
No putting money in the box, no. But you can give me money and I will go purchase these. And as long I'll clear it with your parents and stuff, or you can make a donation from you, if you would rather do that. But we have until Friday to get those in, basically because we're on a tight time frame and I didn't share this with you guys in time. If you have just extra coats, extra hats and mittens, especially that you're not wearing, and they're clean, you can bring them in to donate. I'll happily accept those. I'm sure the students will happily accept those as well. If not, I'll take a monetary donation from your parents. If they choose to, of course, it's all optional. I will go purchase these and overall, yeah, we have these two students, a pre-K and a fifth grader. So keep those in mind with the sizes. They are listed right here. Let me know if you have any questions on that. And I will keep reminding y'all, or not reminding y'all, but we'll keep it kind of going throughout this week. It's only for first periods. So anyway. We have until Friday the 8th to get stuff in. So if you've got extra coat or extra hats and mittens that you're not wearing, not using, or you have little siblings who are not using them, bring them in if they're clean and we'll donate them to the students at Marian. Okay, sorry, wrapping things up. The 4.7 deadline is January 5th. So that's the first Friday after we return from winter break. But because of my new teacherness, because of my experimentation with a late schedule, a late policy, you can submit your 4.7 by Friday the 8th with no late penalty. Because the late penalty doesn't kick in until a week late, which is this is that Friday from when the 4.7 was due. And then because of the break, I have to extend some stuff, usual stuff like that. Okay, that was a lot of information. So thank you guys for bearing with me. Does anybody have any questions before I help you guys get your root folder set up for the week? Yeah. Not today, no. All right, we all good? Okay, so it's kind of our trailer for the week. No real, you don't have anything to do today besides get your root folder set up. For the units, we'll talk about just a couple different things this week pertaining to advanced CSS. Okay, no questions, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up the Zoom room. Thank you guys for listening. I do appreciate it. We're off the air, so you guys can be back on your devices. I just want us to get our root folder set up for the week so that we're prepped to talk about advanced CSS. And close all my stuff here. I'll show you. I'll help you. Close. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up.